Momentum, impulse. How are these two concepts related to the collision of an object? Hello, Sci-Pals! I am Ma'am Leia Junio, your science teacher for today. In this episode of Agham Alamhab, we are going to define impulse and momentum. We will solve word problems related to momentum. We will also relate impulse and momentum to the collision of objects. Finally, we will appreciate the importance of various devices installed in vehicles to lessen the impact caused by accidents. In the next few minutes, we will explore science for another moment. Momentum is defined as the amount of motion occurring in something moving or the force that drives something forward to keep it moving. Momentum depends on two factors, mass and velocity. For bodies moving at the same velocity, the more massive body has greater inertia in motion, therefore has greater momentum. Let us have examples of scenarios exhibiting momentum. A semi-truck full of logs has a large mass and must slow down long before a stoplight because even with a small velocity, it has a large momentum and is difficult to stop. Next, a four-wheeler moving at a relatively fast velocity has a smaller momentum than the semi-truck because of its small mass and will stop much faster. A bullet, although small in mass, has a large momentum because of an extremely large velocity. A karate expert can generate enough speed with his fist that the momentum can carry through several bricks, breaking them. Two football players of equal mass are traveling towards each other. One is moving at 5 meters per second and the other at 8 meters per second. The one moving with faster velocity has greater momentum and will knock the other one backward. Now, let us analyze this situation. Consider two identical cars with different velocities. Car A travels at 80 km per hour while Car B travels at 30 km per hour. Which of the two vehicles would be more difficult to stop? Which has more momentum? If your answer is Car A, then you are correct. Because Car A is faster than Car B. It also means that Car A also has more momentum. Remember, the two factors that momentum depends on are mass and velocity. Therefore, any moving object with a quantity of matter has momentum. It simply means mass in motion. Mathematically, momentum is expressed as P equals M times V, where P is the momentum in kilogram meter per second, M is the mass of the moving object in kilogram, and V refers to the velocity of the moving object in meters per second. Let us try this sample problem. What is the momentum of a 22 kilogram grocery cart that travels at 1.2 meters per second? First, let us identify the given variables. The mass of the grocery cart is 22 kilograms and it travels with a velocity of 1.2 meters per second. Since we are looking for the P or momentum, here is our formula. We need to get the product of mass and velocity. The solution is P equals mass, which is 22 kg multiplied by the velocity, which is 1.2 meter per second. The product is 26.4 kg meter per second, which corresponds to the momentum of the object. After knowing the definition and examples of momentum, let us now define impulse. When the object slows down or moves faster, its velocity decreases or increases. If there is a change in the velocity or the mass of an object, there is also a change in momentum. This change of momentum is called impulse. Let us have some examples exhibiting impulse. Suppose you are playing billiards. The cue ball and ball number 1 are initially at rest. Then you use the billiard cue stick to hit the ball number 1. What do you think will happen to the mass and velocity of the cue ball and ball number 1 before and after collision? Is there a change in momentum of the cue ball and ball number 1? The mass of the cue ball and ball number 1 before and after collision does not change. Still, in terms of their velocities, if the two balls are initially at rest, their velocity is 0. But after the collision, their velocities will change, meaning there is a change in momentum. Therefore, there is impulse. Let's look at another example. Suppose that the two cars with equal masses collide with each other. Car A travels faster than car B. They both stop after the collision. Given this scenario, which of the two cars has a greater velocity change? Correct! That is car A. Next, which car has the greater change in momentum? The answer is also car A, because it has greater velocity as it travels faster than car B. Remember that the greater velocity change means a greater change in momentum. Which car has a greater impulse? That's right! Car A has greater impulse because it has a greater change in momentum. In other words, the object that experiences a greater impulse also has a greater change in momentum. We can say that the impact force of a fast-moving car is higher, and therefore, it caused greater damage after the collision than the car moving at a lower velocity. On the other hand, the impact force would be decreased by extending the time contact or prevent injuries in the event of a collision. The inflation of airbag is initiated by crash sensor. It reduces the impact force by increasing the time of contact. Remember, in collisions, an object that experiences a greater change in momentum has a greater impulse. This shows the direct relationship between impulse and momentum. Thus, a change in momentum is equal to impulse. Changes in momentum happen every time. A fast-moving car that suddenly stops might have damaging effects not only on the vehicle itself but also on the person riding it. That is why various devices have been installed in vehicles to ensure the safety of the passengers. The use of seat belts is designed to secure the driver or passenger of a vehicle against harmful movement that may result during a collision or a sudden stop. It also reduces the likelihood of death or severe injury in a traffic collision by reducing the force of secondary impacts with interior strike hazards. Another example is the inflatable airbag that protects drivers from hitting the vehicle's interior or object outside the vehicle. It increases the time of impact between the driver or passenger and the crashing vehicle in the event of an accident. And if you are riding a motorcycle or bicycle, you must wear a helmet because it helps reduce head injuries and fatalities resulting from motorcycle and bicycle crashes. In this episode of Agham Alamhab, we define impulse and momentum. Momentum is defined as the amount of motion occurring in something moving or the force that drives something forward to keep it moving. Momentum depends on two factors, mass and velocity. For bodies moving at the same velocity, the more massive body has greater inertia in motion, therefore has greater momentum. When the object slows down or moves faster, its velocity decreases or increases. If there is a change in velocity or mass of an object, there is also a change in momentum. The change of momentum is called impulse. We also related impulse and momentum to the collision of objects. During collision, an object that experiences a greater change in momentum has a greater impulse. Finally, we appreciated the importance of various devices installed in vehicles to lessen the impact caused by accidents. This includes the seatbelts, airbags, and helmets. That's all for today, SciPals. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. See you again next week for another moment. Only here in Agham Alam Hub, Palajan's SciTech Portal. Bye!